They called him a mistake, but by the end of the week, no one dared to say his name out loud. The rain had just stopped when Jayden stepped off the bus. The streets of Pinebrook glistened under the grey afternoon sky, neat little houses lined up like someone had arranged them with a ruler. This wasn't home. Not yet. Jayden adjusted the strap of his backpack and took in the view of his new high school, Cedar Hills High. The brick building loomed like a warning, not a welcome. His mum said this was their chance at a better life. New town, new school, new everything. But Jayden had learned a long time ago, people didn't care about fresh starts when your skin was a few shades darker than theirs. As he walked through the front doors, the air inside felt different, colder. Not because of the temperature, but because of the way the hallway conversation seemed to dip the moment he passed by. Like he brought static with him. Eyes followed him, some curious, some cautious, some already judging. Jayden kept walking. He'd done this before. New schools, new stairs. The whispers never bothered him, not at first. What got under his skin was the feeling, that invisible weight that said, "You don't belong here." First period was uneventful. Second, too. He answered questions when asked, didn't speak more than he needed. He kept it low profile, low energy, low expectations. But lunchtime? That was always the real test. Jayden stepped into the cafeteria, the noise hitting him all at once. Laughter, trays clanking, the smell of fries and microwaved pizza. He scanned the room, looking for a quiet corner, or at least a spot that didn't scream, "You're on display." That's when it began. "Yo, whose shadow just walked in?" The voice came from a table near the windows. A tall guy with a Letterman jacket leaned back in his seat, smirking. His friends laughed. The kind of laugh that wasn't about the joke, but about making sure you knew who ran the place. Jayden didn't respond. He wasn't new to this game. But the guy didn't stop. "Hey man, just wondering. Do you even know where you are?" Jayden turned, locking eyes with him. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." That made the guy sit up a little straighter. The smirk faded just a fraction, but only for a second. "We'll see about that." Jayden found a seat near a kid who was too busy playing on his Switch to care. He opened his water bottle, took a bite of his sandwich, didn't look up again. But the message had been sent. They had noticed him, and not in a good way. The next few days passed in slow motion. Jayden kept his head down, walked the halls like a ghost, answered roll calls, turned in his assignments, did everything right. But in Pinebrook, doing everything right didn't mean you were safe. It started with whispers, the kind that were meant to be heard. Must be from the city. Probably got kicked out of his last school. I bet he's on probation or something. I heard he punched a teacher. None of it was true, not that anyone asked. At his locker, Jayden found a sticky note one morning. Just 4 words scribbled in red ink. "Go back to Harlem." He stared at it for a long second. No anger, no reaction. He just crumpled it in his fist and slid his locker shut. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction. But it didn't stop. At lunch, a half-eaten apple landed on his tray. He didn't flinch, just looked up and locked eyes with the same guy from the first day. Logan Barrett, senior, quarterback, rich dad, big mouth. Logan smirked like he'd just scored a touchdown. Jayden picked up the apple, tossed it in the trash, and kept eating. But that moment, that quiet defiance, lit a fuse. Later that week, as Jayden headed out of gym, someone bumped into him hard. His shoulder slammed into the wall. His gym bag dropped to the floor. "My bad," Logan said, grinning. "Didn't see you there." Jayden didn't reply. just picked up his bag and kept walking. The hallway echoed with laughter behind him. By Friday, the mood had changed. Jayden could feel it, like electricity in the air before a storm. In third period, his name was written on the whiteboard under discipline list. No explanation, no one admitted to putting it there. In the locker room, his clean gym shirt had somehow ended up soaked in water, wadded in the sink. He didn't tell the coach, didn't complain. He'd been taught better. "Never let them see you crack," his uncle used to say. "You give them nothing, they'll have nothing to use." So Jayden stayed silent. But inside, something was building, a pressure, a fire. That night, as he sat on the edge of his bed, Jayden stared at a framed photo on his nightstand. Him and his uncle, gloves on, mid-spar, sweat on their faces, but smiling. He remembered the words like they were stitched into his memory. Real power isn't throwing the first punch, it's knowing when not to. But what if not punching back just made them come harder? Jayden's fists tightened. He didn't want a fight, but maybe a fight wanted him. It happened on a Tuesday. The day had been quiet, too quiet. Jayden was walking through the back hallway near the auditorium, earbuds in, hoodie up. He liked that route, fewer people, less noise, less judgment. But that day the hallway wasn't empty. Logan and his crew, Tyler, Chad, and the one with the permanent smirk, Zach, were waiting near the vending machines. Jayden saw them too late. "Yo!" Logan called, stepping forward, arms wide like he was greeting an old friend. "There he is!" Our school's most mysterious transfer. Jayden paused, tugged out his earbuds. "What do you want?" Logan tilted his head, mock offended. "Can't a guy check in on his new classmate?" Tyler chuckled. "We were just wondering, you like Cedar Hills so far?" Jayden kept his eyes on Logan. "It's school, not a vacation." Logan stepped closer. Too close. "Thing is, some of us don't think you fit here." Jayden didn't move. "Then don't look at me." The smirk vanished. Logan's voice dropped. "You got an attitude, huh?" And then, splash. A cold wave of soda hit Jayden's chest, soaking through his hoodie. He looked down slowly. An empty cup rolled across the floor. Chad laughed. "Oops." Jayden didn't speak, didn't move. His jaw flexed, his hands balled into fists at his sides, but still, silence. Until Logan shoved him. Hard, Jayden stumbled back into the wall. His backpack slipped off his shoulder. And just like that, something inside him snapped. He stepped forward, not fast, not wild, just sure. Logan raised an eyebrow. "What, you gonna hit me now?" Jayden didn't answer. He just dropped his bag, rolled his shoulders, and moved. A quick sidestep, a clean left to Logan's ribs. Not full force, just enough to knock the air out. Before Logan could react, Jayden's right fist came up, sharp, precise, crack. Logan hit the ground, hard. The hallway fell dead silent. Zach and the others froze, like someone had hit pause. Jayden didn't yell, didn't curse, just stood over Logan and asked calmly, "Are we done?" Logan groaned, clutching his side. Jayden turned to the others. "Anyone else?" No one spoke. He picked up his backpack, slung it over his shoulder, and walked away. Footsteps echoing down the hall like thunder. The next morning, everything changed. People didn't whisper anymore. They stared, some impressed, some afraid, some curious. Teachers glanced at him a little longer before speaking. Students parted in the hallway when he passed. Logan? Absent. Rumor was he'd be out for a few days. Jayden sat in homeroom like nothing happened, took notes, answered when called on. But beneath the quiet, something had shifted. Some called him a fighter. Others called him dangerous. But none of them called him weak. By Friday, Jayden's name was everywhere, even if no one said it out loud, in the halls, in the cafeteria, online. Some kids nodded at him now. A few even tried to sit next to him at lunch. Others still avoided eye contact completely, like being seen near him might bring trouble. But the fight had done something more than just silence the noise. It had made people watch. The respect? It felt hollow. The fear? That wasn't what he wanted either. Jayden was used to standing alone, but now it felt heavier, like the punch had taken more from him than it had from Logan. That afternoon, as the final bell rang and students flooded the exits, a voice called out, "Jayden!" He turned. It was Coach Evans, the wrestling coach, stocky build, clipboard in hand, voice that didn't ask twice. "Walk with me," Coach said, already turning toward the gym. Jayden followed. They walked the perimeter of the football field in silence for a minute, the fall air cool against their skin. The sun was setting behind the bleachers, painting the sky in warm tones. "I heard about what happened," Coach said finally. Jayden nodded once, didn't deny, didn't explain. Coach glanced sideways. "You fight clean?" Jayden met his eyes. "Didn't start it?" Coach smirked. "Didn't think you did." Another pause. "You've got control. That's rare." He stopped walking. "Ever thought about putting that to better use?" Jayden frowned. "What do you mean?" Coach tapped his clipboard. "Wrestling teams got a few open slots. You've got strength, balance, but more than that, you've got something to prove, and not the way people think." Jayden stayed quiet. "I've coached a lot of kids who hit back when they're cornered," Coach continued, "but very few who know when to walk away, and even fewer who know when not to." Jayden let the words sink in. "Fighting someone like Logan, that's easy," Coach said. "But fighting who they want you to become, that's the real test." Jayden looked out over the field. All his life, people had tried to put him in a box. The angry kid. The problem? The one who didn't belong, but maybe now, maybe he had a chance to write a different story. He looked back at Coach. "When's tryout?" Coach smiled. "Monday, be ready." That night, Jayden sat on his bed, hoodie draped over the chair, bruises just beginning to fade. He picked up his uncle's old mouthguard from the drawer, ran his fingers over it. He thought about Logan, about the look in his eyes as he hit the ground, about the silence that followed, about the power he'd felt in that moment, and about how empty it felt after. Because real strength, it wasn't just about landing the hit. It was about choosing what came after. He slipped the mouthguard into his gym bag. Monday would be the beginning of something new. Not just a fight, but a purpose.